Next up, we have this round jar right here. So the tricky part about this one is that we're going to have a sphere and then a cylinder. So we have actually two different shapes. And this is essentially where box modeling comes into play. And again, box modeling isn't just boxes. We can use anything. So it's any primitive shape that you start with as a base point that you're morphing into a new object. So back in my scene here, I'm just going to go ahead and hide my candle holder. I'm going to just do new collection and we'll do round jar. So the closest primitive shape that we're going to be starting with is going to be a sphere. And the problem with starting with a sphere is going to be that we end up with these triangles at the top and bottom. And there's a couple techniques to kind of fix this. One of them is going to be whenever we start with a cube and we can just simply run a subdivision surface on top of it. And now we end up with a sphere that now doesn't have any triangles. The problem with this is that we need to have that cylinder on top because that's going to be the base of our second primitive shape. So we're going to do a different technique, a topology technique to fix up this sphere that we're going to start with. So to start with my segment, I'm going to start with 8 and something like 8. We'll just do 8 and 8 for now. And the problem with this, again, we have the cylindrical up here, but underneath here we have the triangle that we're going to have. Up here it's not going to be a problem because we're going to hack this away, but on the bottom it's going to be a problem. So to fix this, what we're going to do is we're going to delete these faces. Go ahead and hit X, and we'll go ahead and delete faces. So I'm going to select my edges, and what I'm going to do here is just extrude this out. I'm going to hit E, and then if I just do the Y hotkey to snap it to the Y axis. And I'm going to select these two, so merge at last. Same thing, merge at last. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. Select these two, E, and then Y to snap it. And then select these two, Alt M, merge at last, and then select these two, merge at last. And then these two, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and merge at the center. But the problem with this one is it's not going to be lined up. So we're going to need to get this lined up both in X and Z. So what we're going to do up here is we're going to select the vert, and I'm going to go up here to my snapping mode. I'm going to select my options here and just do vertex. So vertex mode, and then if I move this around, I can simply grab my transform right here and just move it like that. And you'll see a little snap icon on there right there whenever you move your mouse there. And now we're essentially lined up X and Z or X and Y, and then we can essentially just move this down. And now we can go ahead and add in our subdivision modifier. I'm going to go ahead and set this to 2. And we can kind of jump into our just front view and go ahead and just take a look at this and make sure it's actually looking round. So we want to follow this around. So it's looking pretty good. It's got a little bit of an oval shape to it, so I'll go ahead and select everything by hitting A, jump into my scale mode, and just go ahead and scale this down a little bit. Great, so a good rule of thumb with box modeling is that you don't want the cage mesh to be too far apart from your actual mesh. And this mesh that we have going on underneath is a lot more dense. So what I'm going to do here is set the viewport and the render to just 1, and then just go ahead and hit apply. Whoops, I'm going to jump out in object mode, go ahead and hit apply. And now we can actually just work with this little bit of a denser mesh. So it's not so different. And now I can simply add on another subdivision modifier to take it the rest of the way. And next up, we'll add the cylindrical shape right on top.